Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch. My name is Robyn and I have been on a little adventure to a few different nurseries around in Brisbane, and I wanted to share with you what they are, where my favourite places to buy plants are in Brisbane. And obviously going to a nursery, I bought some plants and a few things that I wanted to chat through with you today. So it's just going to be a little bit of a plant haul, and I'm going to be potting up a lot of the plants that I did get into bigger pots and just talking about what I'm going to be doing with these plants. So make sure to grab a cup of tea or coffee for this video and just enjoy me talking about some of my favourite plants at the moment. Whenever I'm in a little bit of a down mood or also just in a happy mood, I find myself going to garden centres and nurseries. I love the vibe, and often I get kind of stuck with inspiration and motivation really in the garden, and going to garden centres and nurseries just always helps me visualize things differently. I see different plants, I see different assortments of plants and how to kind of shape a garden. So even if I don't buy anything, but majority of the times I will end up with some plants in the car, I just really like garden centres and seeing lots of beautiful plants. So on Saturday, Scott and I went to go have some lunch. We went to the Green Edge, which is an amazing vegan cafe in Brisbane. If you are plant-based, I would highly recommend checking it out. And we were over that side of Brisbane, so we decided to pop over to the Gap to go to Patton Park Native Nursery. This is one of my favourite nurseries in Brisbane. The prices for all of the plants are super cheap, and every time I go, I always come out with different plants, and I'm usually going in there to find a native version of a plant that I would like. So I've gotten so many different things from this place, from native finger limes, native raspberries, medium berries, lots of kind of native bush tucker foods that I've planted all around the garden here. The people are really lovely at this nursery. A lot of them are volunteers. To be honest, I kind of really want to volunteer there if I had the time. And even if they don't have what I want, sometimes it is out the back. It's just not kind of big enough to be on the shelf, and they end up going to get that for me. So they're a really lovely bunch of people. And the plant selection is amazing. They're all different plants that grow native to southeast Queensland, so you are bound to find something that suits your garden. Everything from trees, shrubs, pollinating plants, so many different types. So I got a few plants from here. I'm going to start this off by saying, one thing you need to know about me is I love Christmas. Everything about Christmas. I love decorating, I love giving gifts, I love setting up the Christmas tree. Everything about Christmas I love. So it's kind of getting towards that time of the year, and I'm naturally starting to think about Christmas. The main reason why I went to this native nursery was to actually get some pine trees. I have a bunch of different projects that I want to do for Christmas, and one of those is incorporating a lot of native species as decoration around the house. So there'll be a lot of Christmas videos coming up over the next few months when it gets more appropriate to have Christmas videos coming out. These are the first two plants that I got here. These are black cypress pines. And I have some notes on my phone about the characteristics of these. They grow to about 15 meters tall, so obviously a little bit large for decoration, but I really love the blue tone color of these trees, and I'm going to be, once we're finished with Christmas, planting all of these plants around our property. So these ones here like full to filtered sun and dry sclerophyll forest, which is exactly what it is around Brisbane. But I'm going to be tucking these under some of the larger gum trees around that we have, just to give it a little bit more protection. It says they're a slender conical tree with dense green foliage and tough dark bark, which is a beautiful contrast, and it has really dark kind of seed cones with it. These are really, really beautiful. Something I do definitely lack in the garden is adding a lot of blue tones. And it's a really good idea if you are struggling with colours in your garden, to make sure that you're getting a good variety of foliage colours. And pines are definitely ones that bring in that bluey toned foliage. These will grow great in pots for a while, so I'm going to be potting these up today in larger pots. And then I'm just going to use them around on the balcony to do some Christmas decorations and assortments. So these are going to be perfect for that. Next, kind of going with that piney theme, I picked up 2 aloe casuarinas. These are black she oaks, a very, very pretty plant in my opinion, and create a really wispy kind of mood and structure in a garden. These grow to about up to 10 meters tall. Again, they're a tree, but they will grow really nicely in pots. One thing that's great about these is that they're fast growing, so I'm hoping that these even kind of double or maybe even triple the size by Christmas, and they're bird and pollinator attracting plants. Because they are so wispy and they provide, a lot of foliage, they provide really great habitat for smaller birds and bats as well. And they're really tolerant of a lot of different soil types. So a lot of casuarina type plants are really great for coastal plantings. So just keeping that in mind, they like a really well-drained soil. So what I'm going to do when I plant these in pots is actually add sand to this mixture just to make sure that they get all of that good drainage. And these will be perfect to use this foliage in wreaths around and other different kind of flower decorations that I do. They also do produce really beautiful dark brown or red berries, but probably not going to be able to enjoy this as these are a little too young for that this year. And the last plant that I picked up here, I couldn't go to the native nursery looking for Christmas style plants without picking up a native holly. This one has really gorgeous spiky leaves, as you can see here, and the new growth is a lot more reddy orange colors than the deep green on the older leaves. I honestly should have picked up a few more of these because they're just a stunning plant, and these grow really well indoors as well. Making sure that they do get obviously some light and taking them outside every now and again. So this is going to be a great plant for a little bit more of a darker area on the front deck probably. I am just in love with this plant. So it's a shrub and it grows up to 6 meters tall. It's a really great hedge plant, and it says it has small green flowers through November. I don't think this one's going to get flowers just because it is quite a young plant, and it has brown fruits as well, which would be really, really pretty to use in Christmas arrangements and decorations. And also a really great plant for bird food around as well. The prickly spikes don't bother the birds, gives a really great habitat for smaller birds. So that's everything from Patton Park Native Nursery. Definitely check them out if you are around the Gap. And then I went to my other favourite nursery, which is Brookfield Gardens. Probably my favourite garden centre nursery in Brisbane. I always make sure I go to check out what kind of plants they have in stock. And they have a really nice cafe there called Wild Canary, which is kind of attached to the nursery. And they have all of these different vegetable and flower beds that they use the produce in the cafe. And it's just a great way to showcase what plants can do, what a veggie garden can look like, and provide heaps of inspiration. So I got a lot of inspiration from there about how to plant flowers around my vegetable garden, which I'm definitely trying to do a lot more of to increase my pollinators in that area. And they just have such a beautiful assortment of plants. Obviously most nurseries do, but they display them in a really nice way, and it's easy to move through the centre and have a look at everything. So I do try and hold back though, because we are budgeters. We really like to garden on a budget, which is why I like to stick to the other native nurseries. But one plant that I really did need another one, I say need, I really never need plants, I just want them, was another one of these Mega Copar pink plants. These plants are so amazing. I didn't know how well they grow in southeast Queensland, but I've never had a plant around here that I've seen that many native bees around. The native stingless bees really, really love this plant. I've got a purple one planted down near my blueberry bushes, and I'm going to add to it with another pink one. And I think these are also fairly easy to propagate as well, so I'm going to try and propagate it. These ones here are just a ground cover, and they've been working in full sun. They also grow well in part shade and produce a lot of flowers. You can have them in hanging pots or just terracotta pots like I do. So yeah, I really like this plant. And I also picked up a pineapple sage because 'tis the season for cocktails, right? I mean, it's always the season for cocktails, but I really like using this plant in different drinks and cocktails, mocktails, whatever I'm making. It has just such a beautiful smell to it, very pineapple-y, and I really need to take better care of these because I've tried to grow these a lot and I just end up failing. So I'm going to put this in a pot where I can move it around so it doesn't get too much sun, because the harsh sun is a little bit much for this plant where we live. So if you do have any tips on growing pineapple sage, let me know and I'll definitely take all of that on board. And then the last thing I got, I really wanted to try out their garden food, their fertilizer. This was $8 if you're a part of the garden club, and it's pretty good for 3 kilos of fertilizer. So this is all organic pelletized fertilizer. So I'm excited to give this a go and see how the garden likes it. Also, I'm completely not sponsored by any of these garden places. I just really enjoy them and really like to share the good finds around if I obviously like the places. Another really great garden centre is Ross Evans Garden Centre. They've got a few different ones around Brisbane, and there is one around Brookfield Gardens as well, which has a great assortment of plants. But if you are in Southeast Queensland, let me know where your favourite garden centre is. Because it's something I like to do on the weekends, is just go around and have a look at nurseries. So I'd love to know what your favourite is. Something that I also wanted to mention, we got given a lot of turmeric, and it is the perfect time to get turmeric in the ground if you're in Southeast Queensland. It's great to plant it around September to October, and that's the time now. So I'm going to get some of these in the ground today as well. So I'm going to go enlist some help from Scott and just plant up a lot of these plants. But I really hope you enjoyed seeing just the assortment of plants that I picked up. I really like being a bit nosy and seeing what people are buying with their plants, and just getting and finding inspiration from YouTube is one of my favorite things to do. So I will pop some music over the top of us repotting a lot of these plants. What I am using to repot them is, in my last video, my hugel culture video, I took out a lot of that soil and saved it. I ended up sieving a lot of it, so all of the beautiful worm castings and finer material was separated from the larger chunks, and I mixed that in with some potting mix as well as some all-purpose fertilizer just to give it a little bit more of a boost, because when you are putting plants in pots, that is all of the nutrients that you're providing them in that pot there. So I do like to add a little bit more fertilizer into the pot and continue fertilizing because that plant is just sucking up whatever is in the pot. So it's just something to keep in mind when you are potting up all of your plants. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.